Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, and today we'll be discussing the NCERT example questions for the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare. This is the disclaimer. So in today's session we will understand the basic concepts related to the chapter Microbes in Human Welfare by working through NCERT example questions. Okay, so these questions have been characterized into these groups. The first is multiple choice question. Second one is very short answer type question. Third is your short answer type question. And fourth is long answer type question. Okay, let's start with the multiple choice question. So first question is the vitamin whose content increases following the conversion of milk into curd by lactic acid bacteria is. Okay, for more information, you can read NCERT section 8.1. So the options are vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B12 and vitamin E. What is the correct answer? So let's have a look at the answer. Okay, so answer is option number C, vitamin B12. Let's have a look at the explanation. Okay, so lactic acid bacteria, they are responsible for converting milk into curd through the fermentation process. So fermentation is basically anaerobic respiration where oxygen is not used. So during this fermentation, these bacteria actively produce vitamin B12. Okay, because of this, okay, the curd contains high levels of vitamin B12 than regular milk, making it a more nutritious food choice. Vitamin C, so milk does not contain vitamin C. Vitamin C is basically antioxidant. Okay. Then vitamin D, this is synthesized in the skin upon exposure to sunlight and is not related to milk fermentation. Vitamin E, again, this is an antioxidant and is not impacted by the conversion of milk to the curd. Next question, waste water treatment generates a large quantity of sludge which can be treated by. So options are anaerobic digesters, floc, chemicals and oxidation pond. What is the correct answer? So let's have a look at the answer. Option number A, anaerobic digester is the correct answer. Let's have a look at the explanation. So wastewater treatment generates sludge, okay, that needs to be treated before the disposal. Okay, so anaerobic digestion, this is a very common and effective method for this. Now anaerobic digesters are large tank where microbes break down the sludge without the oxygen. So this process reduces the volume of waste and makes it safer to handle. Okay, clear? So we have discussed this. Anaerobic digesters, they are large tank. Here, and microorganisms, they treat the sludge in the absence of the oxygen. Now anaerobic, breaking down organic matter and producing biogas. Okay, here means no oxygen is being used. Clear? The next one, methanogenic bacteria found in. So options are human of cattle, gobar gas plant, bottom of water, large paddy fields and activated sludge. What is the correct answer? Option number D, activated sludge is the correct answer. The methanogenic bacteria, also known as methanogens, are not typically found in activated sludge because, okay, these methanogenic bacteria are anaerobic organisms, meaning they thrive in absence of the oxygen. Now activated sludge, okay, this is the process used in wastewater treatment and this is primarily aerobic, means it utilizes oxygen. Okay, so this means that activated sludge is dominated by bacteria that need oxygen to survive. And this creates an environment unsuitable for methanogenic bacteria. Methanogenic bacteria thrive in anaerobic environment such as cattle rumen, where they help in cellulose digestion, gobar gas plant, where they break down the cow dung, then waterlogged paddy fields, where they produce methane in oxygen depleted soil. Now let's discuss this question. This is a column based question. Column 1 and column 2 are given. Okay, in column 1, the name of the bacteria is given, and in the column 2, the product which they are producing in given, you have to match the column 1 with column 2. So you have 4 options A, B, C, D. You have to choose the correct answer. Okay, option number C is the correct answer here. Okay, Aspergillus niger produces citric acid. Then Aspergillus niger is a commercial producer of citric acid through fermentation. Aspergillus niger is basically a fungus. It is not a bacteria. Okay, Acidobacter matches with acetic acid. So Acidobacter aceti converts ethanol to acetic acid. Okay, this is the basis for the vinegar production. Then Clostridium butylicum. This matches with butyric acid. So Clostridium butylicum produces butyric acid through the fermentation. It is an anaerobic bacteria. Okay, so Lactobacillus matches with lactic acid. So Lactobacillus is lactic acid bacteria. This converts sugar into lactic acid. So this process is important in dairy fermentation and food preservation. Again, there is a column-based question. Okay, so in the column 1, bioactive substances are given to column 2. The role of these biotic substances are given. You have to match column 1 with column 2. You have, okay, clear? So here you can see the correct answer is option number D. Okay. So let's have a look at the answer. Clear? So statin helps in lowering of the blood cholesterol. So it is a drug that help lower the cholesterol level in the blood. Then you have cyclosporin A, which is an immunosuppressive agent. So cyclosporin A is widely used as an immunosuppressive drug in organ transplant patient. Okay. Now, streptokinase, this is used for the removal of clots from the blood vessels. So streptokinase is a thrombolytic medication that helps break down the blood clots, and lipase, this helps in the removal of the oil stain. So lipase is an enzyme that breaks down lipids, which are fats, making it effective in removing oil stain in the detergents. Next question, the primary treatment of wastewater involves the removal of, you have to choose the correct options from below. The options are dissolved impurities, stable particles, toxic substances, and harmful bacteria. Option number B, stable particles, is the correct answer. Let's have a look at the explanation. So primary wastewater treatment focuses on physically removing the solid particles. These particles include grit and floating debris. Now the removal process uses filtration and sedimentation techniques, as these particles are considered stable. Okay. Now dissolved impurities like salts or small organic molecules are not removed in this step. Okay, they need chemical or biological process which happen in the secondary or the tertiary treatment. Okay, toxic substances such as heavy metals or industrial chemicals are also not removed during primary treatment. These require advanced treatment methods, usually in the tertiary stage. Okay, harmful bacteria are not eliminated in primary treatment. They are targeted in the secondary treatment, where microbes break down organic matter, or in tertiary treatment where disinfection occurs. Next question, BOD of wastewater is estimated by measuring the amount of. The options are total organic matter, biodegradable organic matter, oxygen evolution, and oxygen consumption. Okay, option number D, oxygen consumption, is the correct answer. So BOD is biochemical oxygen demand. Okay, so BOD is a measure of amount of oxygen that microorganisms consume while decomposing organic matter in a water sample. Okay, you can imagine microbes as tiny cleaners using up oxygen as they work. Okay, so BOD measures the oxygen used by the microbes. Okay, we have discussed. Okay, so these microbes are breaking down organic matter and they're using oxygen. Therefore, BOD directly relates to the level of oxygen consumption in the water sample. The more organic matter there is, the more oxygen microbes will use. Now, BOD measures the oxygen used by the microbes, okay, not the total organic matter content. Okay, it's an indirect way to estimate the pollution, focusing on the oxygen demand, not just the waste amount. Okay, so BOD indicates oxygen consumed during biodegradation, not the actual amount of biodegradable matter. Okay, it's about the process, okay, not just the quantity of the waste. Clear? So BOD measures oxygen consumption, not oxygen production or evolution. So it's about how much oxygen is being used up, not how much is being created or released. Next question, which of the following alcoholic drinks is produced without distillation? You have to choose the correct options from below. The options are wine, whiskey, rum, and brandy. Let's have a look at the answer. Option number A, wine is the correct answer. Okay, so you can see the raw material are grapes and barley. Okay, so from grapes and barley, wine or beer, they are produced, and they are produced without distillation. Clear? Now, if the raw materials are sugar cane and barley and grapes, and if distillation is done, okay, then whiskey, brandy, and rum, they are produced. Next question, the technology of biogas production from cow dung was developed in India largely due to the efforts of, you have to choose the correct option. Option number Gas Authority of India. Option number B, Oil and Natural Gas Commission. Option number D, Indian Agriculture Research Institute and Khadi and Village Industries Commission. Option number D, Indian Oil Corporation. What is the correct answer? Option number C is the correct answer here. So Indian Agriculture Research Institute and a governmental agency, Khadi and Village Industries Commission, they contributed to the development of these technology of the biogas in India. Let's have a look at the explanation. See, the development of biogas technology from cow dung in India is primarily attributed to collaborative effects of two organizations, Indian Agriculture Research Institute and Khadi and Village Industries Commission. These institutes, they have worked together to research and implement this technology utilizing cow dung as a renewable energy source. Okay, rest of the options are not correct. So Gas Authority of India focuses on natural gas distribution. Oil and Natural Gas Commission deals with oil and gas exploration. Indian Gas Corporation, this is involved in oil refining and marketing company. Okay, now next question, very short answer type question. Question is, why does Swiss cheese have big holes? Okay, the reason for big holes in Swiss cheese are as follows. Now, the large hole for eyes in the Swiss cheese are formed by carbon dioxide gas produced during the fermentation process. Now, the bacteria, propionic bacterium, Prudenranchi, okay, which is P. shermani, is responsible for this process. And during fermentation, this bacteria consumes lactic acid and releases carbon dioxide as a byproduct. Now, the released carbon dioxide get trapped within the cheese, creating these characteristic hole as it matures. Okay, you can see in this image, this is an image showing you Swiss cheese. You can see these holes have been created in this Swiss cheese. The next question, what are fermenters? Let's have a look at the answer. See, fermenter. Okay, fermenters are known as bioreactors. They are enclosed. They are sterilized vessels used in industrial processes. Okay. Now, these vessels are specifically designed to help us grow microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. Okay, now inside fermenters, we carefully control the, you can say, the parameters like temperature, pH, and how much air is present. Clear? Now, by optimizing these conditions, we help the microorganism to grow well and produce substances we want, such as medicines or enzymes. Okay, so fermenters are extremely important in industries. They allow us to produce large amount of antibiotics, beverages, enzymes, and other biotechnology products that we use in our daily lives. Here you can see in this image, this is an image showing you fermenters in which we can grow microorganisms on large scale and we can produce products on large scale. Next question, name a microbe used for statin production. How do statin lower the blood cholesterol level? Okay, let's have a look at the answer. See, statins. Let's talk about statins. Statins are basically bioactive molecules. This means they are chemicals made by living things, living organisms that have specific effect on our bodies. Okay, so it can control cholesterol. Now, the yeast Monasca purpureus is a microbe responsible for production of these statins. Okay, these statins have been commercialized, meaning they are now produced and sold as medicines to help prevent lower the blood cholesterol level. Okay, now statins work by competitively inhibiting the enzyme that makes cholesterol in our bodies. In simple terms, they block the enzyme's action, just like putting a barrier in front of a machine so it can't do its job. Okay, so this helps reduce the amount of cholesterol produced. Next question, why do we prefer to call secondary waste water treatment as biological treatment? Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. See, the main reason secondary wastewater treatment is called biological treatment is, okay, so this is because it depends on living organism to do the work of cleaning the water. Okay, so it is dependent on the action of the microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi. So they feed on the organic matter in the wastewater, breaking it down into simpler substances. Okay, so this step is very important because it reduces the chemical oxygen demand of the water. Lower BOD means the water is less polluted and safer for the environment. So microorganisms help make the water cleaner before it is released or treated further. Next question, what for nucleopolyhedroviruses are being used for nowadays? Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. See, nucleopolyhedroviruses are primarily used in agriculture as biopesticides to control insect pests that damage the crops. Okay, they are a type of baculovirus that specifically infect and kill the insects, particularly moths and the butterflies. Now, these viruses are considered narrow spectrum agents. Okay, this means they only affect a small range of insect species rather than killing many different types. Okay, now because of this specificity, NPVs minimize harm to beneficial insects and other organisms. Okay, next question. How has the discovery of antibiotics helped mankind in the field of medicine? So let's have a look at the explanation. Okay, so antibiotics, they are basically chemical substances, okay, which are produced by the microorganisms, and their main job is to kill or slow down the growth of other microorganisms. Okay, now the discovery of antibiotics was a turning point in the medical history. Before antibiotics, even a small infection could become very serious. With antibiotics, the doctors can finally treat many infections successfully. Okay, antibiotics, they are especially powerful against bacteria and fungal infections. They work by targeting the harmful microbes directly, which means they can clear up the infections that our bodies might struggle to fight on their own. Clear? Since antibiotics were first used, millions of lives have been saved. Okay, now diseases like pneumonia, tuberculosis, meningitis, okay, they used to be very deadly and hard to treat. Okay, now thanks to the antibiotics, this illness can now be managed and often cured. Okay, Okay, now because of these antibiotics, the number of deaths from infectious disease has dropped dramatically. Okay, this is one of the main reasons why people today live longer and are healthier as well. Okay, finally, being able to control infections with antibiotics has allowed doctors to do things that were impossible before, like organ transplant and cancer treatment as well. Next question, why is distillation required for producing certain alcoholic drinks? So let's have a look at the answer. See, distillation is necessary for producing certain alcoholic beverages. Why? Okay. First of all, this distillation increases the alcohol content beyond what fermentation alone can achieve. Okay. Now, fermentation is the initial stage and produces a liquid with a relatively low alcohol concentration. For example, beer and wine are made just by fermentation, which is why the alcohol content is lower compared to the spirits. Okay. Now, distillation, this is the process of heating and cooling that separates and concentrates the alcohol. Yeah, imagine boiling a mixture and then collecting the alcohol vapor as it cools down. This is how we get a stronger drink. So this process results in higher, you can say, proof spirits like whiskey, brand, and rum. Okay, the alcohol content will be more. So these drinks have much more alcohol than beer or wine. Next, a very short answer type question. The question is, write the most important characteristic that Aspergillus niger, Clostridium botulinum, and Lactobacillus share. Next is the most important shared characteristic of Aspergillus niger, Clostridium botulinum, and Lactobacillus is. Okay, all these are microorganisms that produce organic acid. So this is their main unifying feature. Okay. Now, because of their acid producing ability, these microbes are used in commercial and industrial production. This means we use them to make large quantities of these acids for different purposes, showing how biology connects to real world applications. Here you can see here Aspergillus niger, this is a fungus. This produces citric acid. Here it is used as a preservative also, citric acid. Then Clostridium botulinum, this is a bacteria which produces butyric acid. Butyric acid is important in making butter flavor and is also used in some industrial processes. Now Lactobacillus is another bacterium. This produces lactic acid. Lactic acid is essential in making yogurt and cheese and other fermented food as well. Next question. What would happen if our intestine harbors microbial flora exactly similar to the found in the rumen of the cattle? Okay, so rumen in the cattle is a special chamber in their stomach that contains unique microorganism called the methanogens. Now think of the rumen as a fermentation tank where these microbes help break down tough plant materials. Okay, these methanogens have a special tool, the cellulose enzyme. So this enzyme acts like a scissors. It cuts the cellulose. It helps in the breakdown of the cellulose, which is the major component of the cell wall of the plant. Okay, without cellulase, breaking down cellulose would be nearly impossible. In contrast, humans can't digest cellulose because we don't have these specific microorganisms in our intestine. Okay, that's why when we eat food high in fiber, much of cellulose passes through our digestive system undigested. So if humans had the same microbial flora as cattle's rumen, we would be able to digest cellulose in our food. So this means we could extract more energy and nutrients from plant-based food, just like cows. Next question, give any two microbes that are useful in the biotechnology. Okay, now two microbes that are useful in biotechnology are The first example is Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, so Bacillus thuringiensis is source of a gene used to create insect-resistant crop. So Bacillus thuringiensis, okay, consists of a gene, Bt gene, also known as Cry gene, which codes for Bt toxin. This Bt toxin gene is introduced in crop plants such as cotton, and they become insect resistance. Clear? Like Bt cotton, Bt gene has been introduced into Bt cotton. Whenever the insect feed on this Bt cotton plant, then this toxin enters into the insect's gut and kills the insect gut. The next one is Escherichia coli. This is widely used for genetic engineering and protein production. So E. coli is used as a host because it can multiply very fast. So now insulin production is also being done in the E. coli. So human insulin gene has been inserted in yeast as well as in E. coli as well. Okay. Next question, why are frogs important in biological treatment of wastewater? Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. See, frogs. What are frogs? The frogs are masses of bacteria that are associated with fungal filaments. Okay, forming a mesh-like structure. Okay, you can imagine them as tiny nets made up of microorganisms, which are working together to trap the breakdown waste in the water. Okay, now frogs are important in wastewater treatment because, first of all, these mesh-like clumps of bacteria and fungal filaments break down organic matter in the wastewater. You can think of them as cleaning crew, each microbe playing a role in digesting and removing waste. Now, as frogs break down organic matter, they help reduce the biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD, of water. Lowering the lower BOD means the water is less polluted and safer to release into the rivers or lakes. Now, by consuming organic pollutant, frogs also help remove harmful pathogens and lower the overall pollution load in the water. So this makes the treated water much safer for both people and the environment. Okay, next question. How has the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis help us in controlling caterpillars of insect pests? So let's have a look at the answer. See, Bacillus thuringiensis, this is a soil bacteria. Okay, this is used as a bioinsecticide also. Okay, this means it's used to control caterpillar pest in a way that is friendly to the environment. Clear? Now, Bacillus thuringiensis produces a special protein known as Bt toxin. And this Bt toxin targets specific insect groups. Okay, clear? So Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria, this you can say consists of a Bt gene, which codes for Bt toxin. This Bt gene is also known as Cry gene, and these toxins are also known as Cry toxins. Okay, so these toxins, they do not harm bacteria because they are produced in inactive form, but they are activated when they enter into the gut of these insects. These guts of these insects have alkaline pH, and in the alkaline conditions, the Bt toxin gets activated. Now, when caterpillars eat plants, okay, such as Bt cotton, in the Bt cotton, Bacillus thuringiensis gene has been introduced. Now, when caterpillar feeds on these genetically modified plant, the alkaline environment in the insect's gut activates the Bt toxin. Okay, clear? And this, you can say, in the gut of the insect, the holes are created, and ultimately the insect will die. Clear? Now, once the Bt toxin genes are activated, this toxin bind to the lining of the insect's gut. Okay, thus creating pores. Okay, now this binding causes the gut cells to rupture, leading to paralysis and eventually starvation of the caterpillar. Because of these toxin only because these toxin only become active in specific gut conditions of these certain insects. Okay, so we have discussed these toxins, they get activated when they enter into the insect's gut because alkaline conditions are present in the insect gut. That's why they are safe for humans and other mammals. Okay, because they only get activated in alkaline conditions, which is present in the insect gut, not in humans and other mammals. So this selectivity makes BT a safe and effective tool for pest control in the agriculture. Next question, how do mycorrhizal fungi help the plant harboring them? So mycorrhizal fungus is a symbiotic association between fungus and the roots of the higher plant. So let's have a look at the answer. Okay. See, the mycorrhizal fungi absorbs phosphorus from the soil and transfer them to the host cells. Clear? These fungi help the plant resist root pathogens also. This means they act like a protective shield, defending the plant roots from harmful organisms that could cause disease. They also help plants tolerate salinity and drought, which are abiotic stress. Okay, and they increase the overall growth and development of the plant. Here, you can imagine the fungi as giving plant extra strength to survive tough conditions. Okay. Now you can see this is the mutualistic relationship between fungus and the root. The fungal hyphae help in synthesizing organic food. Okay, so basically, plant is photosynthesizing and it is producing organic food. Okay, which is made available to the fungus. The fungus is getting organic, you can say, compounds from the plants, but the fungus is helping the plant to grow by providing minerals such as phosphorus, and also the fungus is getting shelter. Okay, it is getting nourishment from the plant. So both the partners are getting benefited here. Fungus is getting food and plant is getting all the minerals such as phosphorus. Okay, so this is an image showing you mycorrhizal association in the plants. Now, why are cyanobacteria considered useful in the paddy fields? Okay, let's have a look at the answer. See, cyanobacteria like Anabaena, Nostoc and Oscillatoria act as important biofertilizers in paddy fields. Now, they can fix atmospheric nitrogen and can add organic matter to the soil, which increases its fertility. This is why they are so valuable for rice farmers. The next question, how was penicillin discovered? Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. The penicillin was the first antibiotic to be discovered by Alexander Fleming, and it was a chance discovery. Okay, so he found that a mold, means a fungus, has contaminated one of his petri dishes containing Staphylococcus bacteria. Okay, now Fleming observed that the mold, which belonged to the Penicillium genus, was preventing the bacteria from growing around it. So around this fungus, the bacteria was not able to grow. Okay, so intrigued by this observation, he carefully isolated the mold from the petri dish for further study. Now, after studying the mold, Fleming identified the antibacterial substance it produced and named it as penicillin. Okay, so in this you can see Alexander Fleming. Okay, and these are the different fungus you can see growing here. Here, okay, these are the fungal colony you can see. Next question, name the scientists who were credited for showing the role of penicillin as an antibiotic. So let's have a look at the answer. Okay, penicillin was first discovered by Sir Alexander Fleming while working on Staphylococci bacteria. Okay, so he was basically working on the Staphylococci bacteria. However, its full potential as an effective antibiotic was established much later by Ernest Chain and Howard Florey. Now, this antibiotic, okay, was extensively used to treat American soldiers wounded in World War II. Now, Fleming, Chain, and Florey were awarded the Nobel Prize in 1945 for their combined efforts. So, this highlights how scientific discoveries can have a massive effect on society and save countless lives. Again, you can see in this image Alexander Fleming and Ernest Chain and Howard Florey. Now, next question: how do bioactive molecules of fungal origin help in restoring good health of the humans? So, let's have a look at the answer. See, some bioactive molecules of fungal origin have been reported for their role in restoring good health of humans, such as cyclosporin A. This is used as an immunosuppressant agent in organ transplant patient and is produced by the fungus Trichoderma polysporum. Okay, then statins also lower blood cholesterol and are produced by the yeast Monococcus purpureus. Okay, clear? So statins, they are lowering the blood cholesterol, and cyclosporin, they are used as immunosuppressive agent, means they suppress the immune system. Clear? So it is very important to suppress the immune system. Otherwise, the organ, this transplant will be rejected, because this is the foreign tissue which is being transplanted into your body. Okay, let's discuss long answer type questions. So why is aerobic degradation more important than anaerobic degradation for the treatment of large volume of wastewater rich in organic matter? You have to discuss this. Let's have a look at the answer. Okay, so aerobic degradation is more important for treating large volume of organic rich wastewater because, okay, first point is the faster oxidation. Okay, so in aerobic processes, the breakdown of organic matter happens much more rapidly, which is essential when dealing with large amount of the waste. Okay, now you can see here aerobic processes involve the mechanical addition of oxygen to the system. So you mechanically add the oxygen, because aerobic processes utilize oxygen. Okay, now this added oxygen allows aerobic and facultative microorganisms. Okay, facultative microorganisms, they can use oxygen. Clear? So both of these, they can use oxygens. So these microbes are naturally present in the environment and are very effective at breaking down waste when oxygen is available. Okay, now these microorganisms can oxidize organic and nitrogenous compound at a much faster rate compared to the anaerobic microorganism. This is clear? Now let's move on. Okay, second is rapid BOD reduction. So a primary goal of wastewater treatment is to reduce the BOD. Now it is the amount of oxygen consumed by the organic matter. Okay, what is BOD? The amount of oxygen which is consumed in the degradation of the organic matter. Amount of oxygen used by the microorganisms. Aerobic bacteria, often in the form of flocks, rapidly break down organic matter, significantly lowering the BOD. Next question, you have to discuss about the major programs that the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India has initiated for saving major Indian rivers from pollution. And second is Ganga has recently been declared the national river. You have to discuss the implication with the respect of pollution of this river. Okay, so let's have a look at the answer. See, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India has launched multiple initiatives to combat the river pollution. Okay. Now the National River Conservation Plan. Okay, this is one of the major programs implemented by the ministry to address river pollution across the India. Okay, so its aim is to reduce pollution and improve water quality across the countries. Okay, next is Namami Gange program. This is a special initiative just for the river Ganga, aiming to clean and rejuvenate it. Okay, so these current programs have evolved from earlier efforts like Ganga Action Plan and Yamuna Action Plan. Okay, we were talking about the key programs and initiatives. Then we have the Ganga Action Plan. It was launched in 1986 as India's first major initiative to address pollution in the Ganga River. Now, the plan focused on intercepting, diverting, and treating urban wastewater while controlling pollution from the industrial units. Okay. Now, next is National River Action Plan. So, NARP was developed based on the experiences and lessons learned from the Ganga Action Plan. Okay, the main aim of NRAP was to take the successful pollution control strategies from the Ganga Action Plan and apply them to another polluted rivers across the countries. Okay, now NRCP was introduced as a replacement and expansion of previous National River Action Plan. So the program extended pollution abatement efforts beyond the Ganga to include other major rivers like Yamuna and Gomti as well. Okay, then Namami Gange program. This was a flagship. This is a flagship initiative specifically designed for the cleaning and rejuvenating of the Ganga River. Okay, the program has since been expanded to include conservation efforts for other rivers across the India. Okay, now the implications of declaring the Ganga as a national river with respect to its pollution. Now, the Ganga River was declared as India's national river to show the government's serious promise to clean it up. Now, this special status makes the Ganga more important and helps create better plans to protect it. Now, the government started programs like the National Mission for Clean Ganga and Namami Gange to reduce pollution and make the water cleaner. Okay, it also helps make stronger rules and brings everyone together to make the river healthy again. So this means that by declaring the Ganga as a national river, the government can unite different groups and enforce stricter laws to protect it. Okay, Ganga Action Plan was launched in April 1986 to reduce the pollution load on the river. So this was like starting a major cleaning project focusing on treating sewage and stopping harmful waste from entering into the Ganga. Now, the steering committee from the National River Conservation Authority was set up to review the progress of Ganga Action Plan and make corrections as needed. Okay. Now, the National River Ganga Basin Authority was established by the central government on 20th February 2009 under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. So, this authority was created to coordinate and oversee all the efforts to clean and protect the Ganga. Okay, it also declared the Ganges as the national river of India. Okay, next question. Draw a diagrammatic sketch of biogas plant and label its various components given below. Okay, gas holder, sludge chamber, digestion, okay, dung and water chamber. Okay, diagrammatical sketch of a biogas plant you can see here. So here you can see the dung and water are added, okay, along with the bio waste. Then this is a digester where this bio waste is being broken down with the help of microorganisms. And then you can see this is the floating cover where the biogas is accumulated. Here, this is the gas holder, okay, where the gases are accumulated. This is the gas outlet from where the gas can reach nearby houses. And you can see as the floating cover rise, these, you can say the leftover slurry, this enters into this exit. So there are two exits. This is the gas outlet, another one is the slurry outlet. So this is the end of the session. I hope the session was quite knowledgeable for you. We'll meet you in the next session. Thank you very much for listening.